can as well.
You can if you want to. It's up to you.
Okay.
Do you want to?
No, it's fine because I don't have time now. I'll just share it after.
Yeah, okay, sweet. You can if you want. I don't mind if we wait. We're live.
Okay.
Hey, morning, Miles. Good to see you. How are you today?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, good to be here. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, haven't we? So we're here to talk about the world of peer-to-peer, business growth, all those good things, just for a quick 20 minutes or so. I'm just conscious people watching this, they might not know you, they might not know me. So Miles, do you want to do a little intro, I guess? Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Okay, so yeah, I'm a business coach. I'm a peer-to-peer board chair. Live in Farnham with 3 young kids. My lovely wife Emma, and yeah, I'm passionate like you about helping small business owners figure out how to move forward and grow, basically.
Nice, love it. And how many boards do you have now on peer-to-peer? Because
I've got 3 now. So yeah, so I've been doing it since autumn 24, and I started with the Guildford board, and then about 6 months in, I launched London. So that's been going just over a year now, and then I launched Epsom this January. So
I always think with the peer-to-peer boards, there's some incredible venues that we use like around the country, but you seem to have one or two are probably the best. I would say that the RAC Club in London's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I'm really lucky. I've managed to get in some excellent venues with the help of some friends. So yeah, special thanks to Jonathan. But so we're at the RAC Club on Pall Mall. We're also at the RAC Club Woodcote Park in Epsom, and then we're at the gorgeous Barnet Hill Hotel in Guildford. So yeah, no complaints on the venues from any members.
I always see your photos every month, and yeah, I still need to get up there to come along to one of your boards. Cool.
Yeah,
so yeah, for anyone watching who doesn't know me, I'm Dan Sagar. So I have a peer-to-peer board in Winchester, and I do lots of business coaching one-to-one as well. So I think the point of today was just for us to have a little chat, wasn't it, about things that we've been doing in peer-to-peer, some kind of things that we'd heard about. And one of the things I was really keen to chat to you about is because, like, we hear a lot of quotes and phrases, and peer-to-peer is quite good at quotes, from other members and from more famous people as well, of course. But is there like a single piece of like wisdom or advice that you've heard over the years that you really liked, or that kind of keeps coming back to you?
What that I've heard in the room from like between the members of the boards?
Yeah, anything like that. Have you kind of had any pearls of wisdom? Or
gosh, yes, there's so much. Let me think. Well, obviously the hot seats are pretty special because it's a chance for the members to help one another for an hour or so with a particular challenge that they've got. So the hot seat format that we do fairly frequently is a real powerful session where you get the support from the other founders, basically. Nice. One hot seat springs to mind particularly, which I know that the members still talking about. I won't name any names, but he was basically struggling around his team wanting pay rises, and he was going to struggle to afford that given the stage the business was at. And one of the ideas that came up from one of the other members was around kind of creating aspirational job descriptions where they had to kind of grow into the role. So rather than kind of giving them that title package today, but that they had to start taking more ownership of things like business development, restructuring and improving the performance of the business. So that worked well because what he did was he basically had a conversation with them about, if you want that, if you want to, get a bigger package, have a different title, then this is what that pathway looks like. So ahead of actually receiving that remuneration package and so on, they literally had to demonstrate that they were helping close that gap.
Amazing. I've not actually heard of that being done before. Was that something that happened quite recently, or is it a little while ago now, and it's they've had like time to reflect on that and see it kind of develop over time?
Well, It came out because the previous month we'd done the team roles and responsibilities thing. Funny enough, I mentioned this last night on a post when I was swapping comments with someone back and forth. But the team roles and responsibilities workbook's really good because you can check in on things that aren't getting done, who's responsible for what, and then you kind of plot capability versus capacity against like this whole long list. It really gets you thinking because the workbook provides this long list of activities, right? So that was kind of the catalyst, and then he did the hot seat the following week. The following month. And so there's some of those where you kind of, I think it's this, obviously the workbooks, they're all like quite simple to understand, but they show you best practice. And they start with like, well, what's the challenge? What does good look like in this space? And then the kind of, where are you now as a founder? And then what are you going to do to get to good, basically? So it works well. And I think the format with that particular one where you're kind of scoring where you are in terms of ownership and accountability for different stuff in the business, it kind of holds you to task a little bit.
That's the good thing about the workbooks, isn't it? A lot of them kind of follow that similar pattern where it's really reflective. And I think some of the conversations that we have in the room, it really helps to bring those out. Because if you were to take the workbook home or do it in the office, it definitely wouldn't have the same impact, I don't think anyway, as doing it around the room and everyone kind of sharing their experiences as you work through.
I agree completely. And actually, apart from anything else, when we go quiet for 10 minutes and you're kind of crouched over your notes and you're reflecting and stuff, actually having that time to do that isn't easy to carve out as a founder when you've got a million things on your plate.
Yeah, 10 minutes of peace and quiet would be a dream for most business owners, right?
Which workbooks have you done recently?
The one that I remember from this year that was really successful was the Gaining Valuable Referrals workbook. Because I think a lot of us think, and myself included here, like, we're good at getting referrals, but actually like, having a strategic, like really targeted way to ask for referrals and get them effectively and actually get good referrals as well that actually help both parties, not just you, but, help the other side as well. There was some really cool stuff came out, and we started that workbook just by talking about what's the best referral you've ever had. And it kind of led into everything, from the little stories there. So, yeah, I mean, there's over 100 workbooks now, is there, that we can kind of tap into if we need to. So, depending what the issues and the problems are, there's usually something there that's pretty good that we can use.
Yeah, no, completely. How do you kind of cross that whole piece around accountability, Dan? Because obviously we don't want to feel like school teachers that, we're getting them to fill out their school report. Did you do your actions from last month? Obviously it's important for the chair, but then at the same time, like, how do you make sure it feels supportive rather than kind of like being told off?
I think it's trying to find the line, isn't it? And of course, everyone like receives this differently. But as business owners, generally speaking, we don't really have anyone to hold us accountable. So I think the board is a really good place for that. And I think my members in my one-to-one clients as well, most of them do like the accountability aspect. And I think it's mainly a case of, not making people feel guilty. If they haven't done the work or the tasks or the things that they said they were going to do, it's just creating the environment where no one feels silly. Okay, life happens, right? Things get in the way. So it's kind of being constructive about that and being helpful. And then if something didn't happen or didn't get done, okay, so it's digging into a little bit of why hasn't that happened? And actually, can we help you? What can we change? And what can we improve? And something I've found helpful as well is actually checking in between the boards. So actually speaking with the members one-to-one. It's a good reset point, kind of maybe 2 weeks before the next board. Saying, cool, how are you getting on? It might jog their reminder that, oh yeah, I said I was going to do that thing, so that when you do get to the room, chances are they've been a little bit more successful. Or if they are a bit stuck and maybe didn't want to reach out for help by us reaching out as chairs, I think that's a good point to do that. I don't know if you or how you manage that as well, because I think it's quite a tricky thing to balance.
It is, but it's not about catching people out, is it? It's about being sort of compassionate and supportive. And if they have historically said, like, this is important, this is something I need to make progress with, then obviously you've got the sort of coaching bit about, okay, tell me why, what got in the way, how can we help? But then at the same time, it's about celebrating what has got achieved as well.
Yeah, because sometimes when you have a win or a success, right, actually, sometimes business owners don't always have that someone to share that with, right? Maybe our partner at home and they go, oh yeah, okay, because they don't really understand perhaps, or sometimes it's not suitable to always share with your team. So yeah, I think creating that environment with other people is quite a cool place to do that.
Definitely, like celebrating when things are going well is so fantastic in the room. And I've been really fortunate with quite a few of my members who've really jumped forward in terms of turnover. I can't claim all of the credit, but businesses that were doing 400k 12 months ago that are now hitting 1 million and stuff, and it's quite exciting for everybody in the room really to share that with them.
It is amazing to be just around that kind of stuff happening, right? And like you say, it's the business owner that's got the work done. So I'm quite modest. I think you're a bit like me with that, but yeah, not definitely want to take the credit. But I think when people are doing that and they're making those huge improvements, do you think the ones that are doing that, because I think, I mean, this talk isn't about AI, but I guess we'll call it like shiny object syndrome. There's a lot of shiny things around, and as business owners, entrepreneurs, we love those kind of things, right? So we try and create this strategy, this business plan of, what is your North Star, whatever you want to call it, where are you trying to get to? So have you had any conversations around how to distinguish kind of between, oh, that's just a shiny object, or actually that is something that's going to help you move meaningfully forward? Does that kind of stuff come up with you guys in the board?
Yeah, no, it does, definitely. It's a good question. I mean, for me, I guess it's a lot in terms of is it something you should chase or not? Is it something that's just shiny, or is it something you really need? It comes down a little bit to what stage you're at, because any change of focus has to set out to fix something specific. Like, what is the blocker at the moment? So, if their issue is dealing with product market fit, then they need to address either what they're selling or who they're selling it to or how they're selling it. So there's always going to be key things that come up that are kind of more important. And if it's like the leads are arriving but you're not converting, then what's happening there? Is it an issue with qualification? Is it an issue with the nature of the conversations? Is it consultative selling? We talk a lot about pains and problems versus products, don't we? So it's all that sort of thing. Or maybe it's a problem with your favorite subject, sales process. How do you, when you come across people that haven't really got a decent sales or marketing process, where do you start?
We always start right at the beginning. So I feel like it's tempting to jump in here or jump in there, but I always start right at the beginning. So how are people, how are people finding you? What is the process? Is it, and how are they getting in touch? Is it an inquiry through the website? Is it a phone call, an email? Literally start there, and what happens inside the business at that point? Have you got a process? Okay, cool. Let's manage that. Okay, after that first conversation, like you say, I think a lot of businesses that we deal with, there has to be kind of a discovery call or a sales call of some kind. You might disguise it as something else, but that's essentially what it is. How are we getting to that call? And like you say, making sure the right people have come into those calls. And then if we have got qualified people in the pipeline, making sure that they actually show up, because if we can truly help them as business owners and they need the help that's being provided by the product or the service, they need to make sure that happens. And then after that, if they don't close it on the call, what happens there? And it's literally just working step by step at every kind of granular step and touch point. And I've got a big whiteboard here that in front of me that I take sometimes and we'll cover it in notes and post-it notes, but literally just mapping it all out. And it can become a digital thing later, but yeah, the post-it notes can be such a handy thing just to visualize it, because often a lot of this stuff is just in someone's head.
Yeah. And actually creating the system is, again, going to help the founder do less themselves and get other people to follow what they're supposed to do at any stage. You cover ownership, you cover all of the different good stuff that needs to happen in terms of measurement and tracking and everything.
Yeah. And that's when people start to kind of burn out, right? That's when people get stressed and maybe they do burn out, especially as the business grows, because maybe taking on new staff and things get a bit stressful. And yeah, again, mental health can be a bit of a thing that's, I think it's great. It's becoming more talked about. I mean,
yeah.
Does any conversations like that come up for you guys lately? Because I went on a camp recently for a night away, isolation, and it was meant to be just getting out of environment, no phones, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I saw you did that with a big shout out for Ben Price. Yeah, I saw you did that because he's brilliant, isn't he? And some of the work that he does and some of the ideas generally around there about identity are just so deep. It's like doing the deep work. It's like so interesting.
Thank you.
To answer your first question there about like, are the founders burnt out and how do they cope with well-being? I mean, yes, they are often quite burnt out and stressed. Obviously, they've got a huge amount on their plate. They're responsible for other people's salaries. They need to think about cash flow. They need to think about all of the things that they're responsible for. So, well-being is talked about a lot. I mean, I never fail to be impressed by how vulnerable and open people are in the room. And I think it's really nice that, and I know your group's the same, but when you can create that vibe where people are genuinely sharing how they're really feeling, how business is really going, and, the personal stuff they've got going on to some degree as well. I think it's great that they can share that stuff, and they all know in the room that they have had moments where it's felt all very hard as well. And so, it's not about, it's not always about the business side of it. Sometimes it's about that isolation bit and that kind of actually being able to share with other people, your peers, how you're really feeling.
I'm always quite humbled.
Just the sharing helps, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, earlier this year, I had a guest on one of my boards, and they talked about, we have at the beginning, we talk about, how's your business performance right now and how is your work-life balance? And their work-life balance was a 2, and their personal, how they feel about themselves was a 1 out of 10. And this person had been in the room literally 30 minutes, just met all these people, and they were sharing this stuff. So sometimes, it just blew my mind how open people can be. But then obviously I say obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but by doing that, I think you're obviously then in a much better position to be helped. And I think people do come to the boards because they do want help in some cases, right? So actually by opening yourself up and, being real, for want of a better word, is how I guess the other people in the room can best help you by you doing that, right? And it's amazing that people feel comfortable to do so.
Yeah, completely. And it's not that we're just talking about that all the time. Obviously, we're getting into the business a lot, but the fact that people are comfortable to do that, particularly when they've got to know one another quite well, is really nice. And the sort of people that don't fit as well in the room are the ones not only that kind of say, oh, I don't need any coaching, I know everything. What was it Socrates said? I'm wise because I know nothing. So it's like that, and the people that aren't willing to share probably aren't as good a fit in terms of their personalities. That and the real talkers that just don't shut up.
Do you think the NDA helps? Because obviously everyone signs an NDA before they come to their first board. Do you think that has something to do with that?
Well, I mean, I think it's a professional process that we've got to follow, right? And there are businesses discussed in the room. They might talk about fellow founders. They might talk about funding. They might talk about employee issues. So it's really important that we have that hygiene. But yeah, I think it probably does help them a little bit to relax. Yeah.
It's like it's almost a back of mind thing, right? Because they could have filled that out a few weeks before actually coming along.
I've got a question I wanted to ask you, because this crops up quite a lot. What do you say to people that are thinking about joining that say they're too busy?
Too busy. We've all heard that, haven't we? I see this a lot with my one-to-one clients. Again, coming back to the accountability, have you made some time to do these things? And last year I got very specific around finding the time to do something and making the time to do something, because it doesn't matter what it is, the board, for half a day that we ask for to come along to the board. If you try and find half a day in a month as a business owner, you're probably not going to, and it really is about making that time. And I think if you're really committed to making a change in your business, you have to, and you ultimately will make that time, and you'll move things to make it work, because the bigger picture has to be more important. And if you're in that position where your business potentially has been a bit stagnant or perhaps even declined a little bit in the last few years, and it's been a repeat of the same year, the turnover hasn't grown, the profitability has been the same or decreased with the cost of living, actually, you probably do need to make a change. And if you're doing the same things that you've always done are not going to get you that result that you're probably looking for, right? So carving that time out, and half a day, it's only 4 hours, out of a 160-hour month. If you do 40 hours a week, most people probably do more. It's only a tiny percentage, right?
Yeah, it's like 3%, isn't it? Probably less, because people probably aren't working 50 hours. They're probably working 65 more. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, you can say to them that all the time in terms of like how much of the week it is, but until they kind of get it, and kind of attend a board and see the sorts of small but powerful things that you can learn. Like if you learn something, even in an hour-long session, about how you're going to fundamentally change a system in your business, how do you put a value on that, right? Okay, sure, you've paid 300 quid to come along as an investment in the board, but like this is the sort of stuff that could be worth many, many increments of that. That's the thing.
Yeah. It's that return on investment, isn't it? It's not just on the money that you invest in the session, but it's return on investment on your time as well, because the time that you do spend there, the things that you learn and pick up, and the contacts that you make in the room. And I always say it's not about the networking, but the networking does happen.
Yeah, it's a byproduct.
Yeah, exactly. Through all of those things, like, yeah, I do think the return on investment across many areas is quite significant. Yeah. So cool. Should we slowly wrap it up there? I think we're coming out of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think we should. I think there's one thing that we should talk about though, which is like the market's quite tough out there, and what businesses need to be doing, or which businesses are going to get through the kind of headwinds at the moment. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's been really conscious of, and it's kind of ties together a few things here of what we've talked about already, but what are you doing with your day and truly now focusing on the right things? So literally looking at your day in 15 or 30-minute chunks. If you're running this business and you're responsible for these people and all that, what are you doing with your time, and doing the most valuable things that are high leverage for you and for your business?
Yeah.
Because, there is a lot of shiny objects out there. There's a lot of things you can go and do. It's easy to get pulled in different places by different people and different things, but by making sure you're doing those really high value tasks and having those high value conversations, and doing the right things is really what's going to make people move forward. And it's just been easier than ever to be distracted and taken in the wrong direction. Personally, that's my opinion. I don't know what you think, if you're similar track or something different entirely.
No, I agree. I think it's important to do the important things rather than things that feel urgent. I mean, a lot of this topic, it kind of plays back to, the video I sent out yesterday, which is like, as a founder, what stage are you at, and what are you moving away from taking or maintaining responsibility for, right? Yeah. Because if you're not handing stuff over, your cat's on your lap, that's great. If you're not handing stuff over, then you're a blocker, right? And if you haven't got a plan or a roadmap for how you're going to kind of gradually move away from delivery, operations, and sales in that order, then you're kind of you're just going through the same cycle of kind of being super busy and being the kind of
the bottleneck.
The barrier in the system, right? But in terms of this question, like what is going to help people, it all just comes down to that consistency and process for the sales and marketing. Because if you're relying on referrals and the referrals dry up, then you're stymied, aren't you? I mean, if you've got something that works consistently, where you can measure to a degree of accuracy what your incoming forecast of revenue is going to be going forward, then A, you can manage cash flow, B, you can pay the staff, C, you know that you've got the right sort of usage and the capacity is being used of those staff that's sat there. So yeah, I think consistent sales and marketing process, again, your favorite topic.
Yeah, I've got it here behind me, the process we work through to do all that. Yeah, it's so important, isn't it?
Your lean growth system, I love it, by the way. Your lean growth system's great, and I've definitely stolen a couple of ideas from it. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, it's all there to be taken. That's quite all right. So, Miles, it's worth just sharing, I think, as we finish here, where can people go? Obviously, we'll make sure that we're both tagged around this video, but remind us where your 3 boards are.
Yeah, so Guildford, Epsom, and on Pall Mall in London. Yeah, amazing. So.
And you're looking for more members?
Yeah, I have got space. The Guildford one is pretty busy because it's been going the longest, and we've got the largest sort of turnover businesses in it. But there's probably 1 or 2 spaces before that's full. And again, London and Epsom, you know, I've got about 8 members in each of them, so we've probably got about 4 spaces in each of those still.
Nice, amazing. Love to see it. Cool. Yeah, and I'm up in Winchester, so we're not too far from each other, are we? So yeah, I'm a little bit further behind in my journey than you are. So we've just got the 1 board at the moment. But
oh, well, we definitely learn stuff from one another. That's 100% for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So we'll wrap it up there, shall we? Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. I mean, you know, it's dead easy to get in touch with either of us, isn't it? We've probably both got links on our LinkedIn profile. Book a call, have a chat. We're friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, LinkedIn, we both hang out on there quite a bit, don't we? So it's always a good time. But cool. Good to see you, Miles. I'll speak to you later on.
Yeah, thanks for organising this. Well done.
Cheers, Miles. Speak soon.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
See ya.